weiter. Okay, Maseches Bava Metzia. הריני לא עומדים לעילו נשמע סובר מאיר מנחם בן עקיבא רוס בשלום סור בס מוישה. We're daf mem gimel amud aleph in the Mishnah, the second Mishnah, Sholech Yad Bepikodoin. Yeah, everything will be so nice and clear, Be'ezras Hashem, today. And this shows also Lofuas, Ochi, Moshe Arya ben Chomo, Aviva Bas Boiro. I don't have the list. Chana Bat Sima, Nina Chaya Bas Gula Rochel. Pesach Shach Chol Yisrael. And Lilu Nishmas, your uncle? Yosef ben Meir. Mishnah. Before we start the Mishnah, this is all you ever wanted to know about Shlichus Yad and never dared asking. Okay, a Sholech Yad, we have to give a few good introductions here, and that will make it much easier for you and avoid me getting angry later. Stop. You can ask questions later too, but please listen to the introduction. There is a concept in the Torah called Shlichus Yad. Shlichus Yad literally means to, stick your hands where it doesn't belong. That's where I put it in very easy, simple English, which means, as opposed to the Ganev. A Ganev is a person who Poshu takes, let's say, someone's barrel of wine, because that's the example here. He takes the barrel of wine. Once he does Hagbe, is Magbia the chovis of the wine in order to take it. Is he intending to be a Ganev, or is he already a Ganev? The Ganev. That's how Gneva is defined. Yeah. Forget about Gneva. When you go to Osher Ad or Yesh and you pick up a product, that yogurt or milk or cereal, at that moment it's yours. Later on you have to pay for it because you owe the money. It's yours at that very moment. He's not intending to shop. You just shopped it. You didn't shoplift it. You shopped it. Yeah, very nice, very nice. And therefore, if anything happens to that, let's say barrel, from the second you were the Ganev, you became a Gazlan, and then it's struck by lightning, hit by someone's baseball bat, UFO came right into it and broke it, then what? Any crazy oinus in the world, you're chayev. A Gazlan is chayev b'oinsin. Ad kan hakofa aleph Gazlan. Okay? Sholech Yad is the interesting cousin of Gazlan. Sholech Yad means as follows. Says the Torah that if a person is a shomer, if a person is supposed to guard someone's, let's say, barrel of wine, because that's the example, or could be his Labrador dog, whatever. He takes the barrel of wine in order to, I'm following now one of three opinions in the Rishonim. He picked up the barrel of wine in order to drink some of the wine, not all of the wine. Okay, fine, that's a difference. He's not a thief. Mapitam, don't call me a thief. Hey, you come down, you mister. This guy has 10 liters, nice boutique barrel, 10 liters of very fine wine. He will really not mind if I just have, half a liter. Don't be such a frummy, okay? Do me a favor. Half a liter is okay to drink. He would hardly notice. I'm not endorsing this, yeah? And in that moment, once he lifted it in order to, drink some of the wine, not all of the wine, I am giving permission to the Ritva also here, not permission, stage to the Ritva, says the Ritva, watch the Chusyad, even if he wants to drink all of it, but he's intending on paying. I'm not a thief. I'll drink all the Chardonnay wine, but I'll pay for it later. That's another interpretation of Shlichus Yad. You understand Shlichus Yad? It's like a lighter version of thief. He's like a white-collar thief. He's going to pay, or he's going to take some of it. He's a really nice guy. He's really good. So at the moment of lifting, now really it's a machloikis. Everything I'm saying is machloikis. I'm just following one opinion to make it clear. Once you lifted it, and you're a shomer, you're not a regular person who came from the street. You're a person whom the Baalim entrusted the wine with, right? We expect more of you. And therefore, your low-level gneva, which is called in Old French, shlichus yad, in Lashon HaTorah, Parshas Mishpatim, shlichus yad, you're chayev, Baruch, thank you for your question, you're chayev on the entire chovis, which means you wanted to drink just, a few sips just to get the taste, okay? And then came, and even if you didn't drink it yet, according to some opinions, which we're going to follow now, you lifted it in order to drink what? Some of it. Boom, came lightning and thunder and earthquakes and tsunamis. And now the entire barrel is gone, kaput by oines. You have the entire barrel, not just on what you wanted to drink. And that is the chidush actually of shlichus yad, even if it's be'oines. Now, as long as you are in the mindset, in the halachic mode of what? Of shlichus yad, you're in the red zone. Anything that would happen to Chavis you chayv on, because Sholech Yad is like a Gazlan. When would your term finish as a shalech yad and all will be well, and at what point when you're going to stop the shlichus yad, and then what? And then anything that will happen later than that, at that point, you will not be chayv. When does that happen? You are a very nice Rabbi Shmuel followers. Do you follow the Rabbi Shmuel? Give me okay. What the members of the Peanut Gallery said, name and address withheld, is what Rabbi Shmuel says. Once you put the barrel nicely in the place, the same original place where it was supposed to be, where the owner told you to be, you're the shomer, you're a good boy. And if now struck by someone's baseball bat or a robber's game, then in Echnam you're potter. Rabbi Akiva says you have to report. That's actually another issue now. Just yeah, you're right. Rabbi Akiva says you also have to tell the bailim that you stole and gave back. Adkan, the general hashkafa. I just want to point out there are opinions we said in the Gemara that say that shlichus yad sricha chisoron. Some opinions say that b'shlichus yad is opposed to theft, and that's a kula. B'shlichus yad, you only become shalech yad when you lifted it and drank it and did something, or were mechaser, or hit the animal. Remember, and injured it. You're mechaser. You caused some kind of loss. Then you're called shalech yad, and from that point, we're not following this opinion here in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah discusses so far so good. So again, shalech yad, the way we look at it now, sort of like weeding aside all the other machlokas in which we saw and we'll see, a person is a shomer. Shlichus yad only applies to shomer, okay? He picked up the barrel of wine in order to drink, let's say, half a liter out of 10, or doesn't matter, a relative, some of it, not all of it. At that happy moment, according to some opinions, definitely according to Bishamai, he already has red zone. You have entered the red zone of Sholech Yad. Anything that will happen to the Chavis now will be your responsibility, even if it is your, I don't know, grandmother came from Shemaim, it's her fault, lo mishaneh. Oines chayev, okay? Very nice. That's all we have to know really before we start now. The question is, what happens with this fluctuation of prices? Oh. In other words, what happens if at the, let's say, the Picodon came to your hands on, let's say, Sunday. I just, doesn't make a difference, of course. But let's say on Sunday, the person actually, no, it didn't come to your hands. On Sunday, he picked it up. He did the picked up, yeah, in order to be goizel. The Yetzer Hara got the better of him on Sunday. That's when he actually lifted it in order to drink. Okay. Fine. And then on Tuesday, he actually drank or broke. I don't know why he broke it. Don't ask me. Even if it was broken by itself, but that's not the issue here. Our Mishnah talks here about when he actually drank it or actually from some reason broke it. I don't know. That one wasn't tasty. Lo mishaneh. He damaged it. Yeah, he damaged it by a dime. He himself damaged it or drank it up. Okay. So now maybe even drank more than he planned on. Maybe drank the entire thing. Bekitzer, there were two stages here. He picked it up here, stage one. Stage two, he actually got it out of the world. Both of them, I mean out of the world. I mean what I'm saying, because we're going to see the term hoitza'o. What does hoitza'o mean? Taking out, bringing out, exiting. The question is, what kind of hoitza'o are we talking about? Taking out of the owner's domain. Why am I taking it out of his domain? This is a barrel. I'm the shomer. I'm the bad guy, okay? I have his chovis in my, where? In my, I don't know, cellar, but it's his embassy, right? Because as long as I was a good boy, right, it's as if the barrel is in his place, which I rented out for him, right? When I take it out by picking it, it's kilo, I took it out of his house. Get it? You take something out of the American embassy in Tel Aviv, or Yerushalayim, whatever, then what? You take it out of America, kilo, right? It is. And here on Tuesday, 2 days later, could be 2 hours later, of course, doesn't make a difference. That's when I actually broke it, drank it, done with it. And here, the hoitzah, it's out of this world. Don't mean out of the world. I mean, it just doesn't exist anymore. Now, what happens if there's fluctuation in price, change in price? What happens if at the time of theft of actual shlichus yad, it was worth 1 zuz, and then there's inflation? I don't know if you noticed. Welcome to Israel, 2022. Yeah, inflation. And now by Tuesday, it's worth 4. Yeah, and that's when it's out of the world, meaning that's when it's completely destroyed, non-existent anymore, or vice versa. And we have a machloikes here, Zoom people, Bishamai and Besilel. And then we have Rabba in the Gemara. And I bet you, Be'ezras Hashem, all will be clear and well. And I'm sorry I can't move the whiteboard to a better position. I'm sorry. I would like to have it clearer. I'm not crazy for questions before we even started, but if it's very to the point, yeah. What's your question? If it's yeah, not if don't ask me what if questions because they would obviously come, right? Sholech yad, yeah. It's not gneva because it has different standards. I'm sorry to already correct you. Sholech yad is not gneva. He's chayav on everything, not only the part that he wanted to bring. Yeah. Okay. Fine. It's similar to gneva. Or according to the Ritva, he wants to pay, so it's different. Okay. Let's let the Gemara talk. It's true. There is a concept called, which we're going to see soon, that kol hagezlonim mishalmim kishas gzela. You know what? Let's go with the flow with you, as we say in Hebrew, Lizrom. I don't welcome some questions. He managed to has protected. One second. Conceptually, before we start, and that's why I'm okay with you. There is a concept called kol hagezlonim mishalmim kishas gzela. That is in what? That's in Spanish. Every ganav, which means, let's say you stole something which was worth one, yeah, a candy, and you ate it up. What a yummy candy, ice cream, whatever. Then it became worth four, right? Or after it became four, you ate the candy. You only have to pay one. If the candy is not in the world anymore, bichlal, and you didn't break, no, it's not a good idea. It's if it happened by itself. No. You see, there are different cases. If the item is not there and I didn't eat it, it's something that was gone by itself, then I pay like shas gzela. Let the Gemara say it. Let the Gemara say it. There's actually going to be the issue when we apply it. When we don't apply it, depends if I did it myself or it happened by itself. To be continued. If you really understood. Nice definition. Subset. Nachon. Shlichus yad only applies to shomerim. If I go to Yitzchok's house and I want to steal his wine, and I go into your house and I steal some of your wine, but not the rest, and I have no kabbalah on the rest, I'm not chayv on everything, only on what I stole. The shalach yad we expect more of because he's supposed to be a shomer. He's not a guy from the street who came some bum from the street. It's probably the word. Quick something. Yeah. Or if he doesn't have a trolley to take it, breaks the seal and just takes a cup of wine. Is that shlichus yad? And the barrel stays where it is? Yeah. I think so. There's Agba on this. It means he wasn't McBee the whole thing. He had no trolley to take the barrel to somewhere else. I have to think about it. Let's start the Mishnah. Okay? Says the Mishnah. Asholeach yad, where are we? Are we recorded all the time? Yes. Asholeach yad bepikodon. Let's assume now, for the sake of good order and not confuse my good friends, Asholeach yad bepikodon means what? On Sunday, he actually lifted the entire barrel in order to drink some of it. Okay? Let's now go with that. Okay? Bes Shammai Oimrim, Yilke bechoser ubeyoser. Say Bes Shammai, look at me, you should always pay the maximum price. Yeah? Whatever it was, you always pay the Yuloike. He gets punished, like as if he gets lashed, verbally speaking. Yilke bechoser ubeyoser. He always has to pay more, either less or more, whether it became more expensive or less expensive, he always has to pay more. If this is super, super logical, it's not Bes Shammai being harsh because Bes Shammai is the one with the stick. No, I'll explain to you exactly why now already in the Mishnah, because later we'll see it in Rabbah, but I want to tell you it already now. Says Bes Shammai as follows. Parents, here comes your moment. When the barrel was worth one, right? No. A gazlan conceptually, at the moment of Gzela, yeah, the moment of Gzela, yeah, let's say the Gzela was 4. Then it became cheaper and cheaper. Once you lifted the item and it was worth 4, Mr. Gazlan, at that very moment, how much money do you owe me? 4. What? It was worth 4. You owe me 4. Later on, it went down. Sorry, it went down in your domain, Mr. Gazlan. Of course, you have to pay me 4. It broke when it was 1. I don't care. If it broke or you broke it 1, you owe me 4. I'll give you a very, very good example. Let's say you buy something in, I don't know, IKEA. Yeah, the thing is worth 400 shekels, the table. Yeah, and 400, and you bought it, and you still are in the, you still have payments, credit card, you have issues with them, with the delivery or something, and you see the day later, they did a huge reduction, huge sale, summer sale, Hanukkah sale, it's 300. Can you come and say, hey, we want no 300? Of course not. When you bought it, it was worth 400. Every child knows you go by the time of buying. Gazela is a form of illegal purchase, but it's purchase. So of course you have to pay the 4. When I broke it, it was 1, or broken by itself. We'll discuss that later. Please let me, discuss it later how it happened. Lamaisa, when I broke it, it was 1. So what? You stole it when it was worth 4, and the going down, the deflation happened in your reshus. Doesn't make a difference. If so, why do Beis Shammai say this? If it was worth 1 when I stole it, and it increased in price, inflatia, it's called inflatia, and now the inflatia made it worth 4, you have to pay 4 when you broke it by a dime or you drank it. Why is that? Says Beis Shammai, says Rabbah, who seem to be side with Beis Shammai, says very simple. This is all very nice to get philosophical here and say, no, really, that's when he stole it was worth 1. But says the owner to the Ganav, says the victim to the Ganav, excuse me, mister, yeah, let's say I would come on Tuesday and take you to Beis Din, and let's say the barrel would still be intact. What would be the barrel that I, Lemaisa, get practical, don't get yeshivish with me. How much would that barrel be worth if you wouldn't have broken it and given it back to me? And by the way, you're my shomer, I know where you live. It would be worth 4. So practically speaking, stop getting like this. Practically, you broke a barrel of mine, which not mine, a barrel which is owed to me and is worth 4, and that's what you broke. So Lamai says this is also a time of theft, says the Ritva I saw this morning. Get it? Again, when it was worth a lot and it became less, we go by the time of the Gneva. That's when you stole it. Later went down, not my business, says the owner. You stole from me at the moment of Gneva something worth 4. And at that moment, the camera catches you, you're chayv. Here it's the other way. Although the moment of theft was worth 1, true, Mr. Ganav, but Lemaisa will be mechayiv you to pay 4. Why? Because Lemaisa, if you'd have to actually give me the barrel as it is, that give me a 4. The barrel now is worth 4. And that's what I was gotten in Beis Din. I would tell Beis Din, look, Beis Din, here it is. It's in his machsan. That's what you broke. You broke something that indirectly belongs to me, that I deserve now for, pay me for. That's a very logical idea of Beth Shammai. That's Beth Shammai. We're making like a line between the Shammai and the Sila. That's Beth Shammai. Believe me, we'll repeat this idea probably 3-4 times. That's Beth Shammai, and they make a lot of sense. Kam ubesila loimim. I'm continuing the Mishnah. The Sila say no. You always have to. There is no always going for the expensive one. Basila say no. He always has to pay however much it was worth at the time of hoitzo. What's hoitzo? Anybody? The Gemara doesn't know, and we're going to have a lot of erasing. Oh, I need a good tissue. Believe me, we're going to erase this many times. Why? Because the Gemara has a question. What's hoitzo? Does hoitzo mean when he took it out of his domain when you were shalech yad, picked it up for yourself? Or does it so mean when you got it out of the world, when you destroyed it and drank it all up or broke it all? That's a question. In other words, Basila either say you always pay like this, or they say you always pay like when you broke it. That's Basila, either here or here. We have to figure out which one and why. That's going to be a good one. Huh? Mishnah. Please look inside. You see, it's a Mishnah. It's a Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva, one second. Rabbi Akiva makishas tzvia. I would leave Rabbi Akiva alone for now. I just have to translate Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says kishas tzvia. Rabbi Akiva says the third thing. Rabbi Akiva says neither Sunday nor Tuesday. In our story, it would be Thursday. At the time of tvia, the time of suing, the time when he takes him to court, at that moment, that's when, let's say it's worth 6, 1, 4, 7, 11, 8, I don't know, 7, 11, however much it's worth at the time of tvia, the time of him being summoned to court, that's the value you have to pay. Rabbi Akiva learns that from a special pasuk in the Torah. This happy note, I think we should start the Gemara. The Gemara will only make the Mishnah much easier for us and more palatable for us. Omar Rabbe, good, fine. Omar Rabbe says Rabba. Rabba, by the way, is Rabba an Amoira or Tana or a Rishon? What is Rabba? Anybody? Yes. He's an Amora. No, he's second generation Amora. Yeah, Rabba is an Amoira, and therefore Rabba has to be on the good side of the Tanoim. Rabba cannot argue on neither B'Shamai nor B'Sila. Rabba can make a statement that should jolly well fit into the statement of the Tanoim. Says Rabba, Omer Rabba, Hi man the Gozal Chavisa de Chamra, the one who stole a barrel of wine Mechavre from his friend. What a good friend. Now this is not a shomer, it's some regular thief. He's such a good friend. He stole the barrel of wine from his friend's cellar. Mikor Shavia Zuza. Okay. Says Rabba, this is Rabba here. Let's say this square is Rabba, okay? Here is Rabba. Rabba. Yeah. Mikoro Shavia Zuza Hashta Shavia Arbo. It was worth 1 and now it's worth 4. He only has that case. 1 and 4, 1 and 4. Yeah, okay. I'm doing this on purpose. Both cases are 1 and 4. They got more expensive. Rabba lives in Israel today. It's all getting more expensive. Mikor Shavia Zuza, originally when he stole it, it was worth 1 zuz. Hashta Shavia Arbo, now it's worth 4. What do you mean now? What happened now that it's worth 4? Havra Oshasye, he deliberately drank it or broke it deliberately. He did it by a dime. Maybe he broke it by mistake, but it was his doings. He broke it with his own hands. Mishalem Arba, he has to pay for why? Well, the same logic like B'Shamai. When he broke it himself, here, in this case, he broke it himself. He broke it. Okay? He broke himself. He broke it by a dime. He has to pay 4. Why? The same logic. It's true, parrots. But you know what? Now is the gzela. This chavis was lamaisa. I caught you. The police came, raided your house with 2 adim. We found the chavis in your house now on Tuesday when it's expensive, right? Had you not broken it now, I would have taken you to Beis Din, and I would have made how much? A 4 zuz worth barrel. So lamaisa, but you stole from me by breaking it a 4 barrel zuz. Says the mitzvah, this is the news, man of Gneva. So you got to pay 4, which is the same logic as with Shammai. Now, itbar mimela, let's say it broke by itself, by itself. This is this case. It broke by itself. The barrel in the second case broke by itself. Then you have to pay 1. Yeah, mishalem zuza. Oh, if the barrel broke by itself, are you chayev? Of course you chayev. A gazlan has to pay even if it came from outer space something. You always have to pay. But then you'd only have to pay like the original time of the theft, not like when it broke now. Because now you're passive. You didn't do anything. As the Gemara explains better than me. My time, what is Rabba's reason? The Gemara's going to explain everything. Kevan, first of all, the case number 1. Kevan, like I told you, the Isa. What's Isa? In the case when it became expensive, became worth 4, and you broke it with your own hands. Isa, if the chavis was here, mister, you can say you bought it, lemaisa. If the chavis was now in your hands, intact, full, how much would it be? Hadra lemora be'ena. You would have gotten back to the owner, be'en, as it is. Yeah, intact, full, and worth how much? 4, right? Ahi shaita de kashasile. That moment when he drank the 4, whatever, 4 million, the 4 worth of wine, oy de katovalo, he broke it, tagazol minei. That's the real time of theft. I said it's a ritva, really it's a mishnah, it's a gemara, but I don't know the ritva is adding. That's the real time of theft. Because Lamaisa, the barrel was in the world, I would have gotten it back from you. You broke it when it was worth 4. Pay 4. That's Lamaisa, you took away from me. Veteran, and we said in the Mishnah, Rebbe ben Benisti, Kola Gazlonim Mishal Mikishas Exela. Very nice, good memory. It says all Gazlonim have to pay, like the time when they stole it. Very nice. That's case number 1 when he broke it on purpose by himself. However, the second case, Itvar Mimela, if the chavis again got expensive, don't confuse Rabbah with the Mishnah. In Rabbah, both cases are inflation. Both cases by Rabbah are inflation. It was worth 1, and at the time of breaking, it's 4. So now, says Rabbah, Itvar Mimela, if it broke automatically by itself by other 4 and 4s, Bishalem Zuzah, then he only has to pay 1 zuz. Why? My time. Why does he only have to pay 1 zuz? Meaning the original time of theft, not like the current time of breaking. Why is that? Hashta, now, when it's worth 4, loy ovid loy midi. He didn't do anything. He was sipping his coffee quietly, Mr. Gana, watching the Mundial, whatever, and what? And the chavis broke by itself. Something came, a big cat came and broke it. He didn't do it. No, it doesn't mean he's completely exempt. Why is he chayv an oinsin? Why is he chayv an oinsin? He didn't do it. Amai kamechayev slay ahi shaita. Amai kamechayev slay. Why are you mechayev him? Let's say this guy would be a nice guy, a nice shomer chinam, socher. You wouldn't do anything to him. Why is it that we frame him and we say, we don't care to have him by itself. You have to pay because he what? He's a ganev. He's a ganev. I shaited the gzela. You mechayev him because he stole it. Okay. At the time of the theft, I shaita zuzu de shavia. At the time of theft, it was worth one. In other words, we do apply kol hagezlonim mishalmim kishas gzela. When was the only active thing he did? Only here. Only here he did something active at the time of the gzela. He became worth 4. He didn't do anything. You mechayev him. What do you mechayev him for? For watching it? For not doing anything? No. You mechayev him for the only active thing he did. The only time he did something active of gzela was here, was worth 1. Therefore, he has to pay 1. Okay? The truth is that this bottom case, I'd put in big parentheses because we're not going to talk about it. We're only going to talk about the first case when he broke it with his own hands. But this is what Rabba says. Okay? So again, let's repeat. One thing we see here for sure, where Rabba seems to be in tandem with Beth Shammai. That is the first case of Rabba, which is the first case of Beth Shammai. What's the case again? And what's the chiddush? It's a chiddush of Rabba. Yeah? The chovis was worth 1 and I stole it, or sholech yad. I started the bad behavior when it was worth 1. It increased in price, became worth how much? 4 in our case. And then he broke it, purpose, not purpose, lo meshane, he drank it, I don't care what. He did something physical to the chovis, right? Although we tend to say gazlonim have to pay like the time of theft, comes Rabban telling me, no, now is the time of theft. Lemaisa, now I broke it, and that is what I call in English a point of no return. He could have returned it being worth 4. I would have made 4 zuzim on the wine you stole from me. You broke my wine, which is worth 4. So I don't care you did a kinin gzela when it was worth 1. So what? Lamaisa, this wine coming back to me would be worth 4? Yes. So he made me lose 4. Pay me 4. That's the logic of Rabbah, which seemed to work very nicely with Beth Shammai. Same thing. It was worth 1, became 4 when he broke it. And by the way, I know you're going to ask the question, which Tosfos asked the question. In our Mishnah, the case is that he broke it. He drank it, he broke it physically with his own bare hands. It wasn't something that was done by itself. Okay? So Rabbah's case, so this case of Rabbah and the case of the Mishnah are the same case. Okay? This is the case of Rabbah that we care about. Yes. Question break. Yeah. Weiter. Now let's try and compare Rabbah to the Mishnah. And everybody knows that Rabbah should be on whose good side? Shammai, Basilel. Basilel. He should be, yeah, you're right, but he should be on Basilel's side. Because we know, B'Shammai and Basilel, B'Shammai become Basilel, Ein halacha. When B'Shammai argue on Basilel, in most cases, it's as if they said nothing. Ad kedei kach, yeah, more in Brochus, yeah, it's not Lamed Vav on base. Basilel Hoimri, Basilel say, let's go back to our Mishnah. Kish'as oitzo. Basilel say to B'Shammai, don't dance around here, azoi, it's not a kadachke. You always have to what? Follow one rule. He always has to pay either expensive or cheap, yeah? Always like the time of oitzo. Okay, that's like X, in the formula. My kish'as oitzo, what does it mean at the time of oitzo? Ilema, if you want to tell me kish'as oitzo mina oilom upa, if you want to tell me that this Hillel say when it got out of the world, when it was physically, technically destroyed, kish'as oitzo mina oilom, then it does make sense. Why? Ubemai. Then on which case are they arguing? I drew both cases. If you talk about the case where it became worth less, yeah, it does make sense, right? In other words, if the Gazlan stole it or the Sholech Yad was 4, it decreased to being 1, yeah, then the Sila are being way too nice, illogically nice. Mi'ika leman de Omar, would there be anybody with his right mind that would say such a thing? None. It says in the Mishnah in Bava Kama, of course he has to pay like the time he stole. He stole it, right? Now it became cheap in his hands after he owes the money. I owe IKEA 400 shekels for the table. I'm not going to pay them 3 because a day later there's a reduction. Ridiculous. Of course, Basila cannot say such a thing. I don't want to be, do you have a tissue? I don't want to do it with my hands because people don't like it and I understand you. Do you have a tissue? So let's erase this for now. So that's not an option. Thank you. Oh, no, he brought me. Thank you so much. Lemitzvos. So that we don't say. That doesn't make sense that that's what they said. Yosel. And if you want to tell me that the Shammai, that the Sila said, you know what? The Yosel, here, it became more expensive. So now he has to pay for what? Hainu b'Shammai. So they're not arguing. Look, find the differences. There aren't any. Yeah, the Shammai and the Sila are the same. So it doesn't make sense to say that Basilal actually spoke and said that what? That you are talking here about the time of getting out of the world. Because again, let's summarize. If he was worth 4 and now it's worth 1, you're being way too nice to a Ganav who owes you for a thing. Later, he's gaining from the fact there's decreasing in price. Decreasing happened too late after you stole it from me. And if you want to tell me that that's what they're saying, that it increased in price, he has to pay for, well, it's the same as Bashamai. What's the argument? Therefore, at this moment, we say this probably what must be. That's what the Hillel meant. They meant at the time of picking up in Ella. We turn the page. Pshita must be. You know, when Basila said be consistent, you should really do the itzah. Now you should do the itzah. You should pay like the time it was worth, like the value, the worth it was when you got it out of the house of the Bailim. What do you mean the house of the Bailim? When you picked it up and you decided, I'm not a shomer, I'm a ganiv, I'm a sholech yad, that's when you have to pay. You know why that's bad news? Because look what's happening. In other words, if Basila decide, for whichever reason, that you always follow the time of shlichus yad and you don't care about what happens later, which, by the way, so now let's see what happens. This and this are the same. The case when it decreased, we say the same. You have to pay like when you stole. Okay. So what's the argument between Bisham and Basilel when it got more expensive? Bishamai say you have to pay like now because now you really broke it, and now it's when you practically got it out of to the point of no return. And Basilel may say something logical. They say no. We're sticklers to Kolagazloni pay at the time of theft. And since this was the original time of theft, like I thought somebody here was going to say, this is the original time of theft, that's when you have to pay. If that's so, that would be a nice machlekes. But you know, the issue is now, the problem is that Rabbah is supporting the Shammai and not Basila. Look at Rabbah. What did he say? He was worth 1 and then 4. You have to pay like the 4, not like the 1. So that is mamish siding with the Shammai against Basila. And that as if itself is a problem. Again, what is the machlekes here between Bashamai and Basila? Must be what? Yeah, that machlokes is as follows. Let's not even look at the chart. Let's get the logic here. The chavis, when he stole it or when he picked it up with vicious ideas, was worth 1. That's one form of gzela. He's a gazlan. Later on, it became worth 4, and that's when he broke it. There are 2 ways to look at it, and that's a very nice democratic machlokes b'sham and b'silel. The Shammai say, listen, dude, get practical, mister. Yeah, lemaisa, I would have gotten what 4 if I now took you to court at that moment when you did it by Mistarim, so pay me 4, okay? Don't tell me. Yeah. Basila say no. Basila say we follow the regular halacha. What does I also says halacha? Yeah. Basila say no. At the time of theft, it was worth how much? 1. So he owes him 1, and we freeze at that moment. That's a moment which we freeze in time. That's a moment you chayiv, like the IKEA story, but the other way. Now that it's worth 4, doesn't make a difference. Akuriyat is a very nice machlokes. The problem is that Rabbah is siding with the wrong, he's betting on the wrong party. Because why? He's siding with Bishama against Basilil. And that's not good for an Amora. Answers the Gemara. No. Answers the Gemara. No. Says Rabbah, and here we have to fill in the details again. And with that, we're going to stick. Says Rabbah, no. This is the black one is the Maskana. The blue is the Havamina. Says Rabbah, na mapitom. Everyone agrees to me. In the case where there was an inflation from 1 to 4, everyone agrees to me that you have to pay at the time of the breaking. Because we get praktisch. We say, no, mister. You have to pay what? You have to pay at the time when you actually made it completely gone out of point of no return. Irrevocable. That's when you really stole it. Had I got it back home, it would be worth 4. What's the machlekes? The machlokes is that Basilil are consistent. They say you always have to pay what? Tish'as ha oitzom in oilam, And that's the machloikas. When it decreased in price, now we have a machloikas. We're going to see now 3 ways to understand the machloikas. But from here till the end of this year, we are now on the track of the maskono, of the final stage of the sugya. Machloikas b'sham and b'sila has nothing to do with me, says Rabbah. I spoke about the Reisha when it increased in price. Everyone agrees to me that it's going to be that he has to pay 4. Machloikas, what happened when it decreases? It was worth 4 when he picked it up, when he stole. Now it's worth 1. Say Beis Shammai, pay 4. That's when he stole it. And Basila say, surprisingly, and we're going to have to explain 3 different ways. When you stole, it was worth 4, and it decreased into 1. You have to pay only 1. Wow, wow to Basila, and then his explanation. Rabbah is out of the fire line. Oh, Rabbah, we love you. Rabbah is now Baruch Hashem. Rabbah is okay with Beis Shammai and mainly with Basila, right? Because everyone agrees to his point that when it increases in price, be practical. You took a 4 zuz chovis from me because that's what you broke, and that's what I didn't get back, and I wouldn't have gotten it back now. You're right, Baruch. We have to say maybe at the time of Tviyah, but Lemaisa, yeah, the Tviyah goes in the time of, yeah, let's say you murdered a person of 20 and out of 60, maybe in the Western world is different, now it would have been 60. You did something when it was 20, that's enough kamina, yeah, minor or whatever. Now we have to understand why would Beis Shammai and Basila argue on when it decreased in price? You stole it. You stole it was worth 4. Basila are being so liberal to say that now it's worth 1 after you stole it and now you broke it. Now you only have to pay 1. What does it mean? We're going to see 3 different ways to understand the machlokas. Way number 1. Beis Shammai Savri. Up until now, let's read it inside. Beis Shammai think shlichus yad. As we said all the time. The Shammai say, when you pick up an object like wine barrel, and you think as you pick it up, by the way, I'm going to tell you a secret, I don't want to confuse you. You'll see later on in the Mishnah, hopefully tomorrow, the next Mishnah, the Shammai say, we have mind control, thought police. North Korea. If a person thinks of sholech yad without picking up, according to the Shammai, is already chayav in shlichus yad. Ellen, how do we know that that's what he wants to do? Because there are 2 edim. And he says to them, he admits to 2 edim, I want to steal it. So Beis Shammai are very machmir, in order to become full sholech yad, and become fully chayav b'ointzin like a ganav, all you have to do is, at this stage, pick it up or even less, and that's it. You're already a ganav, full-fledged ganav, and you chayav. Since this was the moment of gneva, later on it decreased. Ridiculous. Who cares it decreased? Yeah. I went out of the shop. The day later, there are sales. Too late. Yeah, of course. I and Basilel. Let's read again. Shammai Savri, Shlichus Yad Ein Tzricha Chisoron. Shlichus Yad does not require to actually drink it. The mere fact you picked up the thing, you're ready Sholech Yad without taking away from the actual goods. V'chichosar, when now there was a deflation in price, now the wine market went down. That Birshusa Didechosar, it happened in the Rishus of the Ganav, too late. It decreased after it belongs to the Ganav, after the Ganav is ready, freeze frame in time, and he has to pay. That's Beis Shammai, as we explained all the time. And remember the good old days of about 3-4 days ago. Shlichus Yad requires chisaron. Let's go back to that concept, which means Basila explained, and we had a big machloikas. One of the differences between Gneva and Shlichus Yad is Shlichus Yad, if you pick up and you want to, and you think of, you're not yet a Shalach Yad. A Shalach Yad is only when you picked up, you drank, you did, you hit, you shore the sheep or something, and from that moment, as long as you pick it up and it's in your hands, something happened, you chai be'ointzin. But you have to do something and take away something, subtract something, in order to be Shalach Yad. If so, very good. When did the real theft happen? According to Basilel, here, he picked it up, but it didn't touch. It touched. He didn't yet mechaser it. He didn't take away anything. He's not yet a thief. He's not a shalach yad. Only here, when he drank it, only here becomes the thief. Very good. So now he has to pay 1. Let's see it inside. The chichosar, in order to be considered a shalach yad, you have to really take away something. Only then you consider shalach yad, and from that point of drinking onwards, then you chai be'oinsin. The chichosar, when this decreased for 3 days from Sunday to Tuesday, slowly the market, not so slowly, plummeted from 4 to 1. You know who was the owner during those 3 days? The owner, because it wasn't yet shlichus yad. Simple as that. The chichosa, when he decreased, it decreased in price while still being owned by the mare, by the owner. And therefore, here when you drink it, the drinking is the one and only theft. Because as opposed to gneva, where everyone agrees that picking up is really the gneva, but shlichus yad Basil say no. Picking up is not shlichus yad, only when you drink it, it's shlichus yad. Only when you drank it on Tuesday. That was the one and only time of theft. We're not playing games, Basil. That's what Basila learned, and that's the first shot. 1 second, please. I can hear you soon. Ella, that would be a beautiful shot. Beautiful. But there's one problem. Ella hado amar Rove, or Rabba, the two versions. Rove / Rabba say, Machlekes, shlichus yad, ena tzricha chisorin. In the Machlekes we had a few days ago, and now again, Rove says shlichus yad does not require chisorin, which means even without chisorin, without taking away, you are shalech yad. Lema Rove, do amar kibas shamay. If you want to tell me that that's machlokes b'sham and b'silel, the Shammai say that at the time of picking up in, already at that point it's considered what? As full theft, and that's what Rava says. Times that Rava again supports b'shamai. What are these tendencies? Right? Again, it's bad. How can Rava speak against b'silel pro b'shamai? Right? Therefore, we have to find a different shot. Yes. Oh. Billy Nader. Weiter. Now we have to find another pshat from Machlokes b'Shamai b'Silel, which would not make Rava or Rabba supporter of b'Shamai. Elach b'Maiskinan must be another pshat. Kigon shetiltel lavir laguzolois. Remember that? We said every shomer can do one of three things. Either a shomer can be the real bad guy, middle bad, or a little bit bad. Yeah. You know, where's Goldilocks with the 3 bears? Yeah. In other words, he can either say, I'm a full-fledged ganav. My mother didn't give me nice pizzas. It's okay. I'm a ganav. Yeah. Now what? Therefore, ganav's the whole thing. That's not our case. Second guy is sholech yad. That's our guy. The third guy is a very nice, honest guy. Beautiful, yashor. But he's shoel shaloi midas. Tiltelo. He did not pick it up to do agbo. He moved it around in order to use the barrel as a ladder to bring some gazolas, to bring some, once the shiluach haken, I don't know, he wants to pick something from a high ladder, some choshev, a sefer, or birds, or whatever, and that's why he is actually borrowing. The argument here is, what's the halacha regarding this guy, the third, the lowest category, who is a borrower without permission? He's not really a ganav. He does what? One sip of wine. You think I'm a thief? No, have a minute to take one droplet of wine from the guy. But right now, I need to move the barrel, and he knows, say the Rishonim, the person would not be happy. The owner is not happy. You move around the barrel and you step on it with your dirty feet, and you may break it, as it happened in the end, maybe. Yeah, you moved it around for your own purpose. That's a third category called shoel shalomidas, borrowing without permission. Okay, then what? The Shammai Savri, the Shammai thinks that's what happened here. Making nukim to the Mishnah. You know what happened on Sunday? No theft, no shmeft. On Sunday, he moved it around in order to use it as a ladder, to use it as a stender, to use it as something. Maybe stender wouldn't be so bad. Use it as shimush that can be harmful. So now the Shammai thinks, Savri, shel shalomidas, gazlan havi. They say a shel shalomidas, that's a gazlan. He really has the same halachas as a gazlan. And therefore, at that moment, when he was worth 4, then what? That's when he stole it. To borrow without permission is tantamount to zela. That was the one and only moment of theft. You mischayev lekiganav without agba. Oh, whoopa. Hi, trivia question. Riddle. When can you be a ganav without picking up? According to Shammai, without kinin zela, shel shalomidas. I didn't pick it up to be koine. I moved it technically. Yeah, or didn't even have to move it. I stepped on it. I stepped on it and really behaved not nicely with the object. I'm already called shel shalomidas, which Shammai says a gazlan. Gazlan, kol gazlonim pelik, the time of gzela. The sale happened later. The decrease happened later. Too late. The chichosa. Shel shalomidas is a gazlan according to the Shammai. Shoel, borrower without permission of the owner, without the knowledge of the owner. The chichosa, when he decreased, too late. Reshus Didechosa. It decreased in your Reshus, Mr. Ganev, say B'Shamai. You already were Mechayev. You care 400 shekels. I don't care the day later it became 300. Ubesilo Savri, surprise. Besilo think, Shel Shalamidas, Shal Havi. Oh, Besilo say, the Shel Shalamidas, not a nice guy, and you know who not to offer as a shidduch. But Lamaisa, he's not called a Ganev, which means it's not considered that this person who doesn't want to steal it, who wants to use it without permission, is chayav on all the oinsim. He's chayav on the oinsim, like any other shoyel. He has the same halacha as a shoyel. Explains the ritva. The shoyel may not be a nice guy, shalom das, but lamaisa. Let's say the bailim. I'll give an example. Wants to be makdishit. The bailim wants to be makdishit to base on mikdash. He could. The shoyel shalom das is not taking it away from you, trying to hide it from you, and how will I say, block you from your access from using it. He's using it temporarily, but he never has in mind to move it to his domain. He doesn't want to take it away from you to him. He wants it to stay by you, and he'll also use it. He wants to be like a partner. Mimela, then, at that moment, says Bishama, there was not a moment of theft. He was not a thief. He was a borrower, but between Sunday and Tuesday, you know who's the owner? The owner. I'm borrowing it to do my stuff, but I say, of course he's the owner. I'm not trying to steal it. Mimela, when it decreased while being under the ownership of the real owner. So when did you really take it from the owner? On Tuesday, when you broke it. You broke it when you stepped on it one time too much. Very good, and that's a machlokes. Mimela b'shamai say, you hear the common denominator between all the answers? But Hillel basically say that here is not the moment of theft at all. Of course, we say that if you stole it on Sunday, you have like Sunday price. Nobody argues on that. But time and again, Hillel tried to wrangle the way, or Rov explaining them to say what happened here was not a theft. Either was no real shlichus yad, or there was borrowing, and borrowing is not stealing. This guy's not a nice guy. He's not a thief. A guy takes your pen without permission. Second, can I have your permission? And he's not really waiting for your permission, with your permission. Sometimes with your permission, takes the pen, jots and puts it back. Not nice, very uncouth, and not good and halachically wrong. But he's not a ganev according to the Hillel. That's what we say at this point. Now, that could be a very nice shot. Ella, frag the Gemara, hoda omar rove. Again, it's a similar problem. Rove came with the statement, shal shalamidas lerabonon, gazlan havi. I'm not going now to the machlokes there in Bava Kama about Rabbanon and the other Tanoim, but Lemaisa, Rava says, Shon Shalomi Das is a Gazlan. Then what's the problem? Lema Rava Doma Kebeshamai. Again and again and again. Is Rava following Beshamai? Can't be. If you're telling me machlokes Beshamai and Besilel is the status of a Shol Shalomi Das, is he a borrower, a nice cutesy borrower, say Besilel, or a Gazlan according to Beshamai. Comes out when Rava stated separately, not with this machlokes, in a different place. Rava stated Sholosh Shomidas is a Gazlan, and that's the halacha. That's the halacha. You take the pen without permission, just to use without really this. You're Gazlan. If so, is it following Bishamai? Wrong again. How can Rava follow Bishamai? They're not an opinion comparing to Basilel. Ela Paskono. Now we come to the cusp of it. We're going to reach the peak soon. Ela hocha, a completely different shot. We have to now completely wear new hats now. And now we're talking not about decreasing or increasing of prices. I don't have koch to erase the fours and the ones and the fours and the ones. We're talking here about, let's say, an animal which changed after the time of the theft. Which means, let me summarize now everything. If you followed everything we said with all of Rava's opinions, Rava's statements, everyone agrees unanimously, big time, red pen. Everyone agrees that this is a time of theft. This is a time of theft. This is the time of theft when he stole it on Sunday. Why? If he says a Shol Shalom Adas is a Gazlan. If you want to tell me that Shlichus Yad, ain't a tzricha chisoron. Picking up on Sunday is theft. It all happened then. If so, what's machlokes b'sham and b'silel, right? What's a big business here that the Shammai say you always have to pay like the expensive, and B'silel say you don't pay like the expensive, you pay like now? Explains the Gemara, and I'm giving a very, very brief sikum because we are now in North Korea, no time to talk. But remember Bava Kama, good old Bava Kama, what happens when a person steals something halachically? Agbo, Beshicha, it's in his domain. He bought it, gneva-wise, yeah. Now, does he have to return the exact same object? Yes, if it's there. If it's still there. What happens if he changed? Yeah, let's say I took some wood and I made him into beautiful chair. What do I have to return? Not the chair. I have to return the cash worth of what I originally stole. That's very, very, very basic shinui. What happens if the animal came to the ganav full of what? Of wool. It's a sheep. Now the ganav is a thrifty guy. He shore it, right? He shore it. He shore the sheep, right? By the shore, by the seashore. What? Shore. He shore the sheep. He shore the sheep. No, he shore. Help me. Sure. No. Okay, the Rebbitzin will get a question today. No. The sheep was shorn, that's for sure. So now Bekitzer leaves English alone now. Yeah, Bekitzer, he did Gziza. It was Goizes, Bekitzer. So now to keep it simple. Now, wool on the animal and off the animal is different, is worth much more, is called a different entity altogether for Tumah V'Tara, for Kinyan, for business, for everything. Yeah, for us, my father, all of a sudden. Now comes what? He changed it, he shore it himself, and he worked in it. So now what does he have to pay? Does he keep the wool? Or let's say the wool grew by him even. The sheep came naked and it started growing wool by him. He shored the wool. Does he have to give you back when he's finally found the sheep, yeah, and keeps the wool? Or does we say no? He has to give the actual wool back to the owner. That's Machlokes Shaman B'Silel. What happened if the animal came there young and single? She was a single girl, the cow. Then she got married. Mazel tov, a shen chasana in Gutnik. They did the chasana, yeah. And but the house of the shomer, Baruch Hashem, shidduch, sheni shidduch, and what? Now she has a baby, bris milah. And then what? And then does he keep the baby or doesn't keep the baby? The ganav. It's a shinui. Yeah. Let's say if she came pregnant and a baby are two different things. So that's machlokes the shaman b'silel. The shaman is saying you lose on both sides, and now we're being constantly. According to the Ritva, shinu is not going is a knas. You're ganav. You're not going to gain from shearing the wool or from having the baby by you. And Basilo say no, you kind of shinui. Yeah, if the thing happened by you, you gain what the gains that happened by you, you keep them. Let's see it in the words of the Gemara. The Shamei Savri Shvach Gzela, the Shvach of the Gzela, the how do you say Shvach? Not the increase, the gain, the profit, the profits. What? The value added, but this is not market value. These are real things. Yeah, like wool or babies. Shvach Gzela, the Nigzal Havi belongs to the Nigzal. Give back to the owner even the new wool and the new baby. But it's because it's a knas, or there's Jashina and a koine. But Silo Sabi Shvach Gzela, the Gazlan Havi. Silo say no. Silo say Lamai said the change from wool to shorn wool, from pregnant to baby, that's a change. Who gets to keep it? The Gazlan. He may have to pay him like a pregnant cow. Let's say stole it pregnant. Pregnant cow is worth more than a regular cow. If it came pregnant, the Seder, you pay in full like the time of the theft. But the new wool or the new baby, which is new, meaning changed, different, and value is more, that the Ganav keeps. Avi, ubepluk the Dani Tanoi, Besame Besilal, follow the Mechlekes of other Tanoim, which we saw in Tanakama, the Tanya. Somebody stole a rochel, a sheep, a ewe, Gozazo, Violdo, he shore it, and Violdo, or he gave birth. Shalom Oysev is Gizoseh, Besvol the Sadiv Obimeir. Obimeir Stark, you have to pay everything, give back everything to the owner, or its value. The baby, we continue, we go back, you're Gazlan, give back everything, including all the changes, all the side benefits and profits. Rabbi Yehuda says no, Gzela goes back as it was. It came without wool, I'll give it back without wool, or the value of an animal with wool after I shorn it. I'll keep the wool, and if it came to me with wool, I'll pay you like an animal with wool, yeah, which is worth as when the moment I stole it. Dekanami. Now we're going to be midayek. That we're not talking over here about increase or decrease in prices, but we're talking about real physical change. Bektani, look at the words of the Mishnah, and with that we'll finish. What's choser yoser physically? More or less or more. Less or more means physical things. Had the Mishnah spoke about 1 or 4, it should have said yoiker v'zoil, expensive and cheap. The Mishnah knows how to be, verbal and clear enough. It should have said yakar and zol, expensive, cheap. It says more or less, means there's more wool, more babies. Basil say no. Basil say it's always you pay him like the time when you got it out of the world, which means you always have to. You only when he got it out of his domain. You have to pay like the time that you got it from his domain. No babies, no wool, and the baby and the wool you keep. Probably Basilel. Basilel. Yeah, you have to pay him the cash, of course. You don't keep everything, but the cash you pay has to be the cash like an unshorn sheep. But the wool itself he would keep. He shore the wool, he has to keep the wool. Has to. He's allowed to keep the wool because it's shinu koine, and we don't cancel him. We don't get vindictive with him.